come out of Whitby. He is Patrick Coakley! Thank you very much. Thank you for coming out. Thank you very much. My name is Patrick Coakley, C-O-A-K-L-E-Y. Yes, I'm one of those people that has to spell their surname as soon as I've said it. It's got to the point I've actually said it that often, it's actually become part of my full name. So now I'm actually called Patrick Daniel Arthur Coakley, C-O-A-K-L-E-Y. My debit card's like a foot wide. But obviously this is my first ever gig, so you know, I am simply terrified. So, but I do actually remember the day I fell in love with stand-up comedy. It was also the day I realised I was solidly middle class. So what's Eddie Murphy Raw? Yes. On a skiing holiday. But yeah, when I was trying to find think of funny things to tell you, I remember the old writer's phrase, write what you know. So I thought, okay, I know about two things. So we have either option A, why haven't I had sex in so long I might actually be a virgin again. Or option B, movies. Hey. No, the vote's in. No, we're going to go with option B, movies. Mainly because I think it would be less upsetting for me, and I would like to think I know more about movies than not having sex. Okay, so movies. Okay, movies. Alright. Fuck Mel Gibson, right? Fuck Mel Gibson. I never fucking liked that guy. Honestly, fuck Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson is an absolute cunt. Oh, I can't say that. No, fucking. Mel Gibson is an absolute Catholic. Before you say it's a hate crime, I'm actually a Catholic myself. Or at least I was until I was 11 years old and I turned me back in the Catholic Church. Nothing like that. Never laid a finger on me, to be honest. And it's always affected my self-esteem. See what happens is when you're born into it, like I was, with an Irish man, and you know, you go to Catholic school and the Catholic Church. There's something called the confirmation ceremony, where you get to confirm whether either option A, you believe in it all and you want to continue your life in the Catholic Church, or option B, you think it's all nonsense and that's the end of it. Woo. Now you see, my older brother Dominic, who's actually an altar boy at the church, he got confirmed because he didn't know there was an option B. But when he got to my turn, and apparently, I only found out about this recently, apparently I told my mum, I don't believe a word of it. And she was like, that's fine, that's absolutely fine. Dominic wasn't happy. He was not happy at all. Because he was part of the ceremony, you get what's called a confirmation name. I think it has to be like a saint's name. So now his full name is Dominic Paul Graham Joseph Coakley, C-O-A-K-L-E-Y. His debit card's fucking massive. So anyway, Mel Gibson. Now all those things he was accused of, no, not accused of, recorded and filmed saying were horrible and nasty and violent, downright medieval. But this is not why I hate Mel Gibson. No. The one thing I could never, ever forgive Mel Gibson for is letting the circa 1989 vintage Patsy Kensit drown in that lonely, cold LA harbour in Lethal Weapon 2. I know she went to the immortal line, Rudd's hiding behind his diplomatic credentials. Which I think we can all agree is the worst crime in cinema till Harvey Weinstein came along. Come on, Mel, it's a bit strong. But no, ignore me. Ignore me. I am literally the worst person to talk about films. I don't even need to see a film to give it a 2-star review. And to be honest, watching it could cloud my judgment. Well, speaking of reviews, believe it or not, that years back when I was having the sex. And I think referring to it like that is probably why I'm having it. I was actually quite good. It was quite good. Never had any complaints. Well, none in writing. None in writing. Anyway, back to movies. I was going to talk about Fight Club, but you know. But no, something I can talk about though is when I was about 10 years old, I was off off school poorly for a week, and my mum said she'd rent me a film for the local video shop. So I asked her to get me 80s body swap comedy, Like Father, Like Son, starring Dudley Moore as an uptight business executive who swaps bodies with his laid-back teenage son due to a mysterious potion. Or at least that's what it says in IMDb. Because I don't know. Because I haven't seen it. Because instead of getting me 80s body swap comedy Like Father, Like Son, she got me harrowing IRA prison drama in the name of the father! Starring Pete Postlethwaite and Daniel Day-Lewis, his father and son, respectively. Now, bear in mind, I'm 10 years old. And I'm full of fun. And I'm sat there. And I must be an hour into this film, maybe 10 years into their brutal, unjust sentence. And I'm sat there and I'm thinking, when are they going to swap bodies? Honestly, it's a traumatic experience, it really was. It's like the time when Grandad made me watch Bridge on the River Kwai. Couldn't get over it. It gets worse. Stay in your lane, it gets worse. That's what I do like though, is movies with misleading titles, like, have you ever seen the Alfred Hitchcock movie, Rear Window? When you can clearly see James Stewart perving out his front window. And then there's Green Mile. Can't be more than 30 yards. Goodfellas. Bad fellas. It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life. He's fucking suicidal. Apocalypse Now. Released a year late. Escape to Victory, 4-all draw. Das Boot is not about a German cobbler. And finally, Snatch. As you all know, it's not a porno, but it does feature a lot of cats getting fucked. But I'm pretty weird when it comes to films. Like, I like watching films I've seen before, which I know sounds pretty stupid, but I really am. Like, I know it's not a film, but it's the reason why I watch World War II in colour on Netflix. Like, I know it's not a film, but I know how it ends. but no, when it comes to films I haven't seen before, honestly, I'm a complete coward. I remember the first time I watched Basic Instinct, it scared the shit out of me. I know. What pussy? Not sorry. But then when it comes to it, it's genuinely terrifying. It's like The Exorcist, you know, I can handle it no problem because, you know, I've seen it before. I thought to be fair, that bit where she's in the attic with a candle and that combo burst in flames, Jesus Christ. Makes you think I should have stuck with the Catholic Church. Well, speaking of which, here's one for you. How many Oscars did Sister Act win?
None.
Big fan, mate. Come every week.
Spoilers! While we're on the subject of Catholics, I think it's about time we talked about my mother, Patricia. Or to use her full name, Patricia Eileen Elizabeth Perpetua Coakley, C-O-A-K-L-E-Y. Debit cards I can fucking ski. But it's worth it. There you go. You might have noticed her confirmation name in there. Perpetua. Yeah, Perpetua. I believe it's Latin for it can't be reasoned with, it can't be bargained with, it doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop ever. Actually, no, sorry, that's the Terminator. Sorry, you get the idea. Because Patricia, she's quite a character. And when I say character, that's code for, oh, man, you can't say that. But she has been reading the Daily Mail for 40 years, so she thinks she can. But it's not just what she says, it's the way she talks, right? Honestly. Because somehow she's got it into her head that she's actually quite posh. She's so far from the truth, it's unreal. I'm not saying to her, Mum, why do you talk like that? She goes, oh, Patrick, my darling, what on earth are you talking about? I'm fucking that. so pretentious. And she goes, pretentious? What? It's amazing, right? She's actually Irish, like, she's a proper tinker. It's amazing, right? She's from one of the smallest villages in Ireland. It's called Killer. Yeah, the thought has crossed my mind. But no, it's spelled K-I-L-L-E-A-G-H. And it's amazing, right? And I swear down, this is true. It's one street with 16 pubs down it and a graveyard at it. Which I think is the perfect metaphor for Ireland. And obviously she likes to drink, mainly red wine, which is also perfect because the village is in County Cork. That's a fact, that's not a joke. But one thing I don't know about my mum is how old she actually is. Like, I mean, I'm assuming she's fairly old because she pretty much talks in black and white. But I remember overhearing her tell someone she was born after the war. So I was thinking, which one? The First World War? The Crimean War? And mysteriously, I've never seen a passport. And if you ask her when she was born, the best you get out of her is 11th of January. Just like Terminator, I want to go, 1 year! 1 year! But I remember when I was a kid, she used to mark my height on the door frame next to the oven in the kitchen. And years back, when I did have a girlfriend, she was like, oh, that's so cute, Mum. Recording your height all the years, that's so cute. That's not cute. That's not cute at all. She wasn't recording my height. She was maybe counting down the years so I could reach the oven and cook for myself. To be honest, I was more pleased than she was. I didn't let her cook out of self-defence. That, and I didn't want to see her go to jail for like child cruelty for dishing up that muck night after night. Not that she'd not survived in jail. Fucking hell, she'd fucking fly. She's like Noel Coward in the Italian Job, only slightly more pompous. And if you don't know who Noel Coward is, imagine the acting posh Hall of Fame. You've got Queen Elizabeth II, Noel Coward, and then my mum. Like, she might not be a queen, but she definitely rule the wing. And you don't be the right wing, because you still get the Daily Mail thing. Tell you what's a nightmare about trying to book her a flight. She refuses to get the plane with the left wing. Now, I remember we went to Paris one weekend, also at Eurostar, and yeah, it was like Saturday morning. She only got into the city centre. I think she had a handbag. So we're in this taxi. We're flying down the side at Riverside, and suddenly the taxi driver like slams it all on because there's this massive anti-capitalist protest going on with all the flags and the flares and all that sort of shit. And while I'm trying to get the taxi driver to keep going, Patricia's fucked out of it and just disappeared into the crowd. I mean, we might be next to the sea, but she's far from it. Because what started out as a fairly peaceful protest soon descended into one of the worst riots Paris has ever seen. Because in her infinite wisdom, she's gone driving out of a taxi in a mink coat and sunglasses, waving a credit card around and demanding to know where the Chanel shop is. And now she's wanted by Interpol for being the main instigator of the ensuing riot. Because unfortunately, the protesters have mistook her for an anti-capitalist agitator in fancy dress. But obviously, fucking Patricia's oblivious to all this. So she finally finds the Chanel shop. But it's shocked to see the shutters are coming down. And it's like after a Saturday afternoon, and she's thinking, why the shutters coming down? So she's waving a credit card at the moment. And she sees this look of absolute terror on her face. And so she turns round and sees that the angry mob have followed her all the way to the Chanel shop, fucking intent on fucking smashing it up. And apparently the last thing the man was there saying was, what's French to get me a white handbag? Most of that story's true. Yes. But yeah, much like me, Patricia didn't believe a word of fucking God either. But apparently you don't have to be, you don't have to believe in God to be a good Catholic, because she still took us to midnight mass on Christmas Eve every year. It's come to think of it, it was always at 8 o'clock. So another misleading title for you now. Not like the Catholic Church to lie to us, is it? But did you know that up until the 1930s, Father Christmas was always pictured in green. But when the Coca-Cola Corporation realised they weren't selling enough cans during the winter months, produced this vastly expensive but wildly successful marketing campaign that pictured Father Christmas in what we now know the world over to be the traditional red costume. When I found this out, this absolutely blew my mind. Because can you think of another multi-billion-dollar corporation with a near endless budget and global reach where they could actually change the colour of the Christmas icon in the minds of the world? Well, you don't have to. It's called the Catholic Church. Jesus Christ is doing much better than this. Honestly, I mean, I might take the piss out of the Catholic Church, and rightly so. But if Jesus existed and said the things he was supposed to say, I ain't got a problem with Jesus. I got nothing but love for Jesus. It's just those fat fucking Irish and Italian motherfuckers sat around that big creepy table in that badly lit boardroom in the bowels of the Vatican years ago that I have a problem with. Sat there trying to come up with some fucking dastardly scheme to convince fucking all the black and brown Catholics of the world that they're inherently inferior to these white men dripping in gold and sanctimony. And you know one of them's going to jump up and probably shout in Latin, "Let's make Jesus white." And that was that. Absolute marketing genius. Brilliant. And you know those sick maniacs should be thinking, this will save on printing costs going forward. but just, you know, just to be clear, I like Jesus. Jesus, I've always had a lot of time for him because, well, we've always had a lot in common, I thought, you know. First of all, we both have a beard. I mean, I've only had mine since lockdown, and he's had his for like, 2,000 years. But it made me think, do you reckon Jesus, like, buy a little brush, a beard oil, a pair of scissors, or did he just like wake up in the morning and just like Jesus, it's like, doo, it's all set to go miracle for a day. That's fucking blasphemy! But no, second thing I've got in common with Jesus is my dad was also a carpenter. Well, actually, it was a joint. And to be fair, it wasn't on Galilee, it was on Teesside. Nevertheless. And the last thing I've got in common with Jesus, and it might not seem that impressive, but both our surnames begin with the letter C. But it did make me think, do you reckon Jesus I've got to go, yes, Jesus Christ, C-H-R-I-S-T. Now technically that is blasphemy, But it would have been if you didn't laugh, because if you didn't laugh then I would have taken his name in vain. So just to recap, right, fuck the Catholic Church and fuck the Coca-Cola Corporation. At least Jesus was said to turn water into wine. Those fuckers just turned it into poison. But in the spirit of full disclosure, I would like to say I do enjoy a can of Coke from time to time. I know, fucking Judas. As I'm sure you can tell, I've got a lot of free time on my own. But so yeah, I've been spending way too much time watching a lot of true crime on like Netflix. Like honestly, I've watched that in the US true crime doc you mentioned. I'm too scared to go back to America. I've only been once before, but I'm too scared to go back now. Do you know what terrifies me in America? It's not guns, but it's not Trump supporters. It's dumpsters. Has anyone ever been murdered in America and not been found in a dumpster? And if you don't know what dumpsters, remember them big bins around the back of school? Right? Imagine one of them behind a badly lit convenience store full of dead hookers. It's not funny! It's just unfortunately very, very true. But I do actually think, literally every story in America about a murder, it starts with a body being found in a dumpster. I thought I could massively reduce the murder rate in America just by getting rid of the dumpsters. But where would you put the trash? Good question, Penny. Where would you put the trash? And to be honest, I've always preferred American trash because over here it's rubbish. Sorry. But no, I think the nearest British equivalent would be the man walking his dog that finds the body. Like every murder in the UK in the last 30 years, The story starts with a man walking his dog that found the body. And it got me thinking, what if it's the same dog walker every time? Because we don't know, do we? Because they never print his name. So maybe they never ask his name. And it turns out it's the same dog walker every time, but they haven't joined the dots. And then it turns out, for the last 30 years, he's been committing and reporting every murder in the UK for the last 30 years. I know you're thinking it's a bit far-fetched. Yeah. Dogs don't live for 30 years. It'd be like Belgian shitstorm, Hercule Poirot, turning out to be Europe's most prolific serial killer. No one should be surprised. He dresses like a mafia dog, he's got a whopping great ego, and every time he goes on holiday, people start dropping like flies. And then he pins it on a maid, on the jealous husband, and trots off on his next mode of transport. And according to Interpol, he's got 85 confirmed kills. Which is actually more than the Belgian army got throughout the entire Second World War. That's not true, they got 100. No, I'm only saying that to piss off and make Belgian Mike. I mean, he's obviously from over there, but they just call him Mike. But it might not be a crime at the minute, but I'm sure the internet could turn it into one. But when I was a kid, I started this room about Hollywood actor Andy Garcia. Untouchables and Godfather 3. Honestly, anytime I was on TV or a movie, anyone mentioned it, I said, did you know that when Andy Garcia was born, he was part of a Siamese twin? Honestly, anyone who'd listen, oh, it was a vicious little gossip. I might not have started the rumor, but I spread the fucker about. but then a couple of years back, in one of the Sunday papers, there was like a 60-second interview with him. And one of the questions was, what's the weirdest rumour you've ever heard about yourself? And he said, I once heard that I was born part of a Siamese twin, and I can categorically state that that is untrue. Righto. I think he's lying. I've never trusted him. I've always said he was two-faced. Another rumour I heard. Apparently they're making a sequel to Ghost. Yeah. Patrick Swayze's coming back. I am genuinely sorry about that. I wish he was, man. I fucking love Patrick Swayze, honestly. As you all know, he's one of the good guys, and you know, obviously a fabulous actor, but also a respected martial artist. So not only could he take you out, he could fucking take you out. But no, Sir Patrick Swayze, he was obviously a fabulous dancer, and much like my dad. I mean, my mum will tell you, she was a fucking brilliant dancer. But my dad actually was. But my dad was belting around this classes. Have you ever heard of 420, International Weed Day? Yeah. Of course you have. Of course you have. Yes, Billy. Don't be stewing on their sweet time. So yeah, 420, 20th of April every year, thousands of pot adult students call out their basement flats to go to our local park to litter, basically, fucking scruffs. Anyway, best thing about International Weed Day, it's also my dad's birthday. Like my dad's the sweetest, nicest, loveliest man you could ever hope to meet, and you know, he liked to drink, you know, but that's as far as it went. I mean, he did live through the 60s, but I think he missed it because he was working. So we have, my dad's birthday and International Weed Day. So I thought, what a great day to celebrate! Fucking perfect, brilliant, brilliant. Then I found out it was also Hitler's birthday. So his days go a bit of a mixed bag. So we have my dad, weed and Hitler. Just so you know, I love 2 out of 3 of those things. Don't worry, I'm a pothead, not an Nazi. Only place I've ever made is a fridge at 3 in the morning. Just to be clear, I love my dad, I love weed and Hitler's going to fuck himself, fucking virgin, fucking up a perfectly good day. Apart from all the horrific crimes, obviously. If only Hitler had hit the bomb, honestly, millions of lives could have been saved. Imagine Hitler and all his cronies sat round on Saturday night, you know, getting baked. And one of his cronies pipes up, I won't do the voice, shall we invade Poland? And Hitler's like, nah! It's a good job on Berlin's Got Talent tonight. We'll do it tomorrow. Pass the Blackbirds. Seems a bit far-fetched, doesn't it? Yeah. Hitler's vegetarian. But I remember last time I was on. I went to my mate's house on Saturday afternoon. It's borrowed a drill. That's not convincing, is it? Yeah, I went round and sat there in the kitchen and he says, "Do you want a bomb?" I don't want a bomb. I'm fucking 17, yeah, I'll have a bomb, yeah. So we hit this bomb. And he had the radio on in the kitchen. I think it was Kiss FM. And it was Bootylicious by Destiny's Child. Or as they're now known, Beyonce. Like absolutely Bootylicious. It's a fucking right tune, right? But as it turns out, I've been singing the wrong lyrics for years. Because I always thought I said, "I don't think you're ready for this jam yet. Like, this tune is so banging, you can't even handle it." But my mate was like, "Nah, that's not the word." He actually says, "I don't think you're ready for this jelly." So I'm like, jelly? 1, it's not cool. 2, it's not sexy. And 3, if you're not ready to eat jelly, I mean, it's easy to eat in soup. It's not even hot. If you're not ready to eat jelly, you're certainly not going to be ready for the Temple of Doom course. You either eat the jelly or it's chilled monkey brains for everybody. And then I thought, in America, don't they say jam, not jelly? And then I thought, maybe there's a UK version where she sings jam, not jelly. And then I thought, fuck me, I'm really stoned. Where's that Bratwurst? Speaking of radio, when I used to live with the lads, used to have a radio on in the kitchen all the time, and it used to be Radio 1. But I realised I wasn't a kid anymore, so I started listening to Radio 2. And then I realised I wasn't an arsehole.
Really?
So I started listening to Classic FM. So I realised I was in fact a complete arsehole. But like, I remember like my dad used to always have like classical music on it, car, but I never had any like interest in it or anything. But yeah, we had it on in the kitchen. It's like really relaxing, good background music. And after a while, you know, you start picking up the odd, tune and name of the composer and all that. And eventually, you can actually like name a tune, and honestly, you experience the same level of smugness as when you get one right on University Challenge. It's like, yes, doesn't happen often. But like, once I started listening to the music, I started looking into it. I was getting into it, so I started looking up some of the big composers, like Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Ludwig van Beethoven. I can't remember his name, and obviously Ludwig Johann Sebastian Bach. But when I was looking into these guys, I found out that in the 80s, there was this script floating around Hollywood about this kid travelling through time, kidnapping all the world's greatest composers to bring them together to create a piece of music that unlocked the mysteries of the universe. Now, obviously, that sounds a lot like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which is obviously one of the reasons why it ultimately never got made. But the big reason why it never got made is that at some point, Steven Spielberg signed on to direct. And at that point, it became the biggest property in Hollywood and a surefire smash hit. Honestly, so much so that every agent's phone in Hollywood was just bursting into flames. Honestly, it was ridiculous. Like, everyone wanted a piece of it. It was like a disaster. It should have been a dream project, turned out to be a disaster. So much so, in an unprecedented move, Steven Spielberg organised a sit-down table read, like a first rehearsal of a script, before any parts had been given out or any contracts had been signed. Honestly, unmitigated disaster is the worst thing in the history of Hollywood. So much so, in one corner you had Robert De Niro and Al Pacino arguing over who's going to be Mozart. In the other corner you got Jack Nicholson and Warren Beatty arguing over who's going to play Beethoven. And finally, a young Arnold Schwarzenegger stormed out the room and said, "I'll be back." I'll be Johnson!